back. It is week 6, recovering a sense of abundance. And this week is all supposedly about money and essentially this idea that money is a huge creative block for creators because we have this sense that actually you need to choose between money or creativity, because having a creative career or being an artist or is either very difficult to do or doesn't earn you really any money. And a lot of these beliefs are potentially kind of baked into us from a cultural perspective. And I think Julia Cameron has a point here, but I actually think as a mother, not only do you have this sense of constriction potentially around money and the relationship that it has to your art, but I actually think the bigger constriction often is around time. And so I've sort of looked at this week and thought about it as a sense of abundance and trying to open a mindset of a sense of abundance, not just around time, but not just around money, sorry, but actually around time. So, through the chapter, she talks about this concept of luxury and the idea that luxury isn't maybe what we might associate that word with, or those ideas of kind of, these super expensive cars or ridiculously expensive lunches or like being able to fly first class everywhere. Luxury is, in fact, those things that make us feel pleasure, make us feel luxurious, make us feel kind of like we're giving something to ourselves. And she cites things like somebody who, for them, the luxury was actually just having raspberries for breakfast every day or getting a magazine subscription. And I think we can probably all think of those perhaps more simple everyday pleasures that we withhold for ourselves because they feel like a luxury. And this kind of is her mechanism to move against this lack of abundance. And I think when we come to both money and time, these small acts of pleasure, of stepping into that sense of something for ourselves, become so important. She says a few things which I wanted to quote because I think they're really useful. Because art is born in expansion, in a belief in sufficient supply, it is critical that we pamper ourselves for the sense of abundance it brings us. Basically getting into that sense of there is so much supply. There is an abundance of all of this stuff that I need. So I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to feel constricted or constrained or penned in. I can just flow. Right. And the other one that I really loved and think is super relevant, all too often we become blocked and blame it on our lack of money. This is never an authentic block. And when I say there, I think you could exchange money for time. So all too often we become blocked and blame it on our lack of time. This is never an authentic block. The actual block is our feeling of constriction, our sense of powerlessness. Art requires us to empower ourselves with choice. At the most basic level, this means choosing to do self-care. And I don't know whether our lack of time is a block that we create for ourselves. Quite often, I actually think a lack of time is a very real reality. But the question, I guess, is how do we give ourselves of abundance or a sense of abundance around time and money, perhaps, when there is a sense of that being constricted? Because clearly this constriction probably doesn't help us create often or create great art or actually just nurture ourselves, right? Because it feels like there just isn't that abundance of time in which to choose to do the things that feel good for us. So I think that this week is perhaps all about us recognizing, one, where kind of time and money potentially go, and two, tapping into what would those small pleasures be? How do we bring that sense of abundance in with those little luxuries of either things that we allow ourselves to do with our time or of things that we allow ourselves to buy with the money that we have? And she says, beware of kind of the wet blanket adult, which is this kind of like adulting part of ourselves or the people around us who kind of go, oh no, well, you know that doesn't work like that, or you couldn't possibly do that every day, or like serious people don't do that, or mothers don't have time for this, or all of those kind of sensibleness that keeps us from expanding. And she said, beware of silly as a word you toss at yourselves. Yes, artist dates are silly, but that's the whole point. Creativity lies in paradox. Serious art is born from serious play, which I think is a great quote. I'm super into. And I think I'm going to try and make that the theme of this week for me is like, where do I find that abundance of time, of money to invest in the small luxuries that would make me feel this sense of abundance, of deep pleasure, of kind of self care, of looking after myself and just giving myself a source of pleasure and delight rather than kind of being of service to everything and everyone around me. And the few exercises that she suggests, I'm going to go through because I think actually I really like the exercises for this week. So, what I'm going to do is there is a counting exercise where she talks about getting a note. She talks about a small pocket notepad and pen, but I feel like probably for our time, it's probably going to be a note on your phone, and going through and just noting where you spend your money, like everything that you spend. And I actually think for me, I will probably do this more with time. Like where is my time going? Where am I spending my time? Um, and how am I spending my time? And then she has a set of questions which I will share below in the notes, but it's a kind of complete the phrases type set of questions. And I'm going to put them down below as she writes them, which are all related to kind of our relationship and the thoughts and beliefs we have around money. But I actually think you could pretty much replace money in all of these things for time. So, for example, people with money are, or people with time are. Money makes people, or time makes people. If I have more time, I'd have more time if I'd have more money if my dad thought money was, my dad thought time was, my mum always thought money would, my mum always thought time would. In my family, money caused, in my family, time caused. All of these things just go through. I'm not going to read all 20 of them, but I will post them below kind of in the description so you can get those because I'm definitely going to be doing that as a journaling exercise because I actually find sometimes that's when the things leap out and you're like, oh, okay. Especially that happened in the first week. So maybe week 6 is my next aha breakthrough moment. So she has a few tasks around natural abundance, which I really love. One is kind of find 5 pretty or interesting rocks. And the other one is pick 5 flowers or leaves and maybe press them. Those things that maybe we did as children, and tapping back into that pure pleasure of like the abundance of beautiful things around us and really just finding a bit of wonder in those things. So I'm definitely going to try and do both of those. She also has clearing exercises, which are to throw out or give away like 5 old pieces of clothing that we don't wear or that aren't in good condition or state. And I think that's really powerful to kind of have this sense of cleansing and clearing. And also anything in our home environment that just really needs clearing out and just getting that out of the house. Um, the other thing she says is baking something. And actually, that idea of moving our creating into a different area, which might look like a way we can create something a little bit different or put a bit more creativity and play into something we might already be doing. Like we might already be making lunch for ourselves or for the family or our children, actually finding a way to maybe make that a creative exercise. Um, and then the other things that she says are acceptance and maybe searching out for any new flow and practicing saying yes to freebies, but also I think practicing noticing when people offer you time or offer you a chance to step away. Like quite often my partner will say, oh no, like I will take our son and go out and do this thing and you just take some time. And quite often I find myself thinking, no, no, I'll come with you, or no, no, I'll do this thing. Or yeah, okay, I'll use that time to do the washing up or something. But actually that's time that he's gifting me. Or I'm sort of gifting myself. And I find that I block that flow a lot. And so I'm really going to try and practice this week, especially in kind of saying yes to all of those moments of time that people offer me. So I can kind of step away and step into creativity and play. And then the other thing that I am going to do this week is to write a list of, this isn't an artist's way thing, but I think it's something that came out of this idea of those kind of small luxuries. And I'm going to write a list of small pleasures for myself, things that really make me feel good. And I'm going to try and just stuff as many of them into this week as I can. And it probably won't look like that every week, but I think just this idea of reveling a little bit in small pleasures and trying to see where I can bring them in is going to be hugely helpful. So that is my plan for the week. That is what I'm going to do. I would love to hear what you're doing, how it's going. We are halfway through. I feel like we need a check in. We probably need a check in. I will record a check in soon and also share a little bit of a vlog of what I've been doing and how the art and making side of this all has been going, but also that sense of kind of developing as a mother and what I've been unpicking as I've been working through this. But thank you so much for being along with the journey with me. Um, Let me know what you're doing week 6. Let me know your thoughts, especially if you feel like the time and money thing is the same for you. I would love to hear. And yeah, let's keep creating.